And we're going to call the meeting to order at this time. Appreciate seeing board members here, a couple of whom have been in some fun places since we saw you last, and a couple of us who have not yet, and a couple who still aren't returned. So anyway, tonight Amy is gracious enough to offer our word of prayer.
Yep, please bow your head. Let us pray. First for our country and our nation, our leaders in Washington. Pray for our township employees that serve us all each and every day. Thank you to our friends and residents that are here to support us. Pray for our first responders who see perhaps unthinkable situations. Keep our police and fire departments safe, in danger in their everyday duties. Pray for this township board to make good decisions for our residents and friends. Pray that we make every neighbor that they feel seen and heard and served with dignity and respect. Prayers for all of us doing the right things and making good decisions, even when it's hard. Keep us all safe tonight on our journeys home. Blessings to everyone in this room. Let us all be like Jesus. We ask all of this in Jesus' precious name, and all God's children say amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Amy. You could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated, and clerk, if you would call our roll.
John Schwalm and Treasurer DeWitt are absent with notice.
Very good. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda? So moved.
Support. I'd like to make a comment on
the
agenda. Items 7.2 to item 10. I would ask that there be a motion for me to recuse myself for work purposes of the company I work for.
Yeah, I'd move to recuse Ms. Kuiper from those two votes. It's appropriate. Moved and supported. Any conversation? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you're recused. Thank you. Any other comments on tonight's agenda? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? The agenda is approved, and just having approved the agenda, we're going to throw something on there that's not on the agenda. I see Kurt Van Covering here, and Kurt is from our Ottawa County Road Commission, and we wanted to welcome him and give him just a couple of minutes to update us. So thank you.
Good evening. Last year, promising of $40 million budget, which is paid for by the gas tax. Projects we have this summer in Georgetown Township are 12th Avenue from Port Sheldon to Baldwin Street, which will be resurfaced. 28th Avenue from the city limits to Bauer Road would be resurfaced. We'll be building a roundabout at 48th and Baldwin. We have acquired the properties necessary for that project to proceed. And another road being resurfaced is Baldwin from 20th Avenue to Cottonwood. Local streets that are going to be repaved are Rosewood Street from 28th to 12th. And then we have a couple bridge projects in Georgetown Township. 12th Avenue over Rush Creek will be done this summer, and the culvert on Bauer Road, just west of 44th, will be worked on. As you've heard, the state legislature redid the funding for roads. We are anticipating that we will get an additional $13 million. We're planning on spending $11 million of that. Part of the reason is that marijuana tax is being appealed in the Court of Appeals right now, so we've put that money aside. We're expecting the new road funding will actually be in our coffers probably January of 2027. So we're using some fund budget to cover projects this year. We got one for each township. Georgetown, what we've added is New Holland Street from Chicago Drive to city limits, resurfacing a paved shoulder. We'll also be doing Parsons Street. That was one that you mentioned to me last time that I was here.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was thinking that.
Oh, there's your Christmas present.
Thank you.
I don't see Parsons on the list anywhere here. Am I missing it? Oh, never mind, just found it. Local pavement, gotcha.
Yep.
That one has been added, so we'll be back again in probably July and August with the projects that will be scheduled for 27 to 32. So that's my update for you. If you have any questions.
I do. Just a comment. I know that some of the roads that we're tarring, I brought this up before to Justin. Is there a possibility that we could start adding wider shoulders for bike paths? I know you guys don't like them, but that is something that is always talked about, asked about in the township. And as a township, I think we'd be willing to participate in funding some of that. But I know like 42nd is an example, trying to get a bike path across the township towards the Grand Ravines Dog Park. And we've talked about that in the past. I just want to bring it up to make sure it's kind of on the radar to do that.
It's 42nd?
I think it's 42nd that's getting redone. Baldwin to Bauer. That's a nasty road. I drove down the other day to look. That's the, if we could start getting some of these, like, if we could eliminate doing a 4-foot shoulder on each side, just doing one 8-foot shoulder on one side, that really makes things easier for everybody, because you know as well as I do, trying to get easements for sidewalks. We tried that on 48th Avenue. It's difficult because things have changed. It used to be you just kind of go along to get along, but it don't work anymore. Oh. And so by widening a shoulder, we quite often already have that easement, the 33 foot from the center. We could widen a shoulder quicker.
Well, that's what I hope when I come in July, August, when we start with the new strategic plan for the next 5 years, is having you identify some of those things to say, this project, we want to add this, or this project, we want to move because we're going to be doing water and sewer 2 years later, or maybe we need to push that project back, We want to open the lines of communication for you.
Right. And I appreciate that. That's why I'm bringing it up now, so.
I'll put it in my notes and present it to our next meeting.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good. Thanks, Kurt.
Kurt, do you have anyone whose term is coming up at the end of this year for the commission?
Fine.
Sure, it's okay.
And Betty Gajewski is up at the end of the
Okay. Any idea whether each of you is intending to
Both of us
continue?
are intending to run again.
Okay, both are intending, you think, to run, okay.
What you do is it's an appointment process through the county commission. So the county commission will take applications and they'll review them and they'll decide which ones to appoint to the road commission. Betty has served 2 terms already.
Yeah.
I'm completing my first term this year.
Really? I thought you'd been on there longer. Okay. How many year term is it?
6-year term.
Okay. Is anyone currently on that commission living in Georgetown Township?
In Georgetown, you got Jim Miedema from Jamestown.
Okay. All right. Okay. We've got one unpaved road here that's not a dead-end road, a section of Jackson. Am I right? Is that the last? Oh, it is. Okay, good. All right. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for moving me up.
Thanks, Kurt.
Yep, appreciate it. Good. All right, item 6, communication letters and reports have been received by board members for your information. Are we good? Hold it in. Yeah, hold it in. Hold it in for like 3 seconds.
Oh. Is it on now?
Yep, we're good.
Thank you, sorry.
No problem. All right, we're going to have public hearings now. Item 7.7, Roman numeral 1. This would be an ordinance to change from agricultural to low-density residential, a parcel of land or a couple of parcels of land there along Bower Road. And is there a motion to open the public hearing on this request?
So moved.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the public hearing is open. Opportunity for public comment at this time on this particular proposal. So if anyone would like to, yes. Tom Healy, good to see you.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Tom Healy, 2659 Cedar Grove North, Georgetown. The question of rezoning parcels goes to the Planning Commission for evaluation regarding whether the rezone conforms to certain standards. Standard 2 asks, are the new zones allowed uses compatible with the surrounding uses? And Standard 6 asks, is there sufficient vacant land already zoned in a specific category? Let's talk about compatibility. In thinking about this, it's critical the board consider that the current master plan, page 33, places ag zoning density at 1 dwelling for every 10 acres. The LDR density is 2 to 3 dwellings for every 1 acre. To rezone these parcels is to add more dwellings, more people, more cars, more traffic, and more congestion on a potential scale of 30 to 1. 1 dwelling for 10 acres, 3 dwellings for 1 acre. While it has not been true for quite a while in Georgetown Township, at the present time to increase density on a scale of 30 to 1 in this last area of large parcels presently zoned agriculture is not compatible with the surrounding area. But for the ice arena and the condos and townhouse development that front on 48th, there's essentially only ag and RR parcels between Bauer and Fillmore and 36th and 48th. In looking at Standard 6, or whether there is sufficient vacant land already zoned in a specific category, when considering this question from the perspective of properties owned ag and RR, the answer seems pretty clearly no. There's no longer sufficient property zoned AG. In fact, tonight the board is also looking at a rezone from RR to LDR just a little bit east on Bauer. And I know that our zoning administrator could give you a pretty accurate count right now of how many properties are zoned LDR that just have not yet been developed. That would probably include some PUDs like the Lowing Woods property. The master plan also states that new development should be directed to areas efficiently served by public roads. We have all heard the public safety and welfare concerns voiced due to congestion, traffic, and the like. While we can't fix the road issues, we can certainly stop exacerbating the problem. I would encourage the board to oppose the rezone request for 2601. I think rezone 2602 is a little bit different. It's pocketed right inside a bunch of other LDR zones. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Pete Plowman, 6877 Creek Ridge Court. Now, I know the board has been looking at, maintaining agricultural property and probably going to be taking care of that in a pretty timely manner. I think this is one of those properties that would be something in your wheelhouse or to consider before we move forward with anything. Just like Tom said, maybe you should take a step back, take a look, and actually get a feel for what is the direction that you want to go on recouping some of those ag properties. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Gentleman in the back that just walked in, would you like to address the board? An open meeting? No? No? Okay. All right, thank you. All right, seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. So moved. Support.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the public hearing is closed. Is there a motion among the board either to approve or deny the following resolution as recommended by the Planning Commission?
I'm going to move that we approve what the planning commission approved to rezone this property from agricultural low density residential.
Okay, it's been moved.
Support.
Supported by Ms. Kuiper, so it's on the floor.
So the discussion during planning commission, and one of the reasons I was for it is because the properties to the west are already developed around the ice arena, and there's apartments, and I think there might be some condos. I don't know how that is, but there's a high density project to the west of that and around the ice arena. I also know that the services are there. We have water, we have sewer, we have everything they need to develop, and it's been there for quite a while already. And so I look at it and go, well, if that infrastructure was put in there to develop that corner at one time, it seems we should be able to follow through and continue on with that. So I understand the argument for farmland, but I also understand that there's farmers that want to sell land too. So when you're on that side, when you want to sell your property, and all of a sudden the township says you can't sell it, but you already have services to it, it just seems like this would be the way to move forward.
Ellie, why do you support it?
I agree with what Gary said, and I think that the Planning Commission always does a thorough job at looking at the 3 C's, the consistency with the master plan, the capability of supporting the new zone, and the compatibility with the surrounding uses. And I think when you look to that, I think Gary's point about the development adjacent to it, I think speaks volumes. The only other point that I would make is that based on the way that our local government entities are set up, we end up with hyper-local rules and regulations. So every single individual 36 square miles potentially has different rules and regulations. And I think in some ways that potentially does us a disservice when we think about land uses holistically in the region. When we think about preserving agricultural farmland and prime farmland, I think prime is the key word as well. I think we should be looking at it from a more regional approach, or at least from the county perspective. Georgetown Township is a bedroom community. And while I don't discount the agricultural land that remains, we are not prime farmland any longer. And once there is development surrounding it, I'm not quite sure that that becomes the hill that we should die on in terms of ag preservation. I think there are, if I had to rank agricultural properties to be preserved in the area, this would not rank highly based on the surrounding development that already exists. I think for those reasons, we shouldn't be prohibiting private property rights from turning this property into something else that is potentially more productive for our community.
Okay. I guess I have a question for Gary. So you mentioned something about farmers and their, I guess, their rights to sell their land and that sort of thing.
Right.
They have the right, and this is a point that I think deserves emphasis, whether it be a farmer or anyone else, frankly, for that matter. You have the right to your property rights and your zoning classification. The government should not take that from you, right? Your bundle of rights, your bundle of sticks, as they sometimes are referred to. But you don't have the right to the assumed or presumed future rezoning of your property. So if you say, well, I can make a whole lot more if these were houses than farm fields, but I'm zoned agricultural, we'll not take any right from you that your zoning would permit you as an agricultural, property. But you didn't have, or you don't have the right to say you're taking from me my right to be zoned, say, LDR or even medium density residential. You don't have that right. You have the zoning you have. You might wish you had a different zoning for more money, right? For more highest and best use, if you will. But you don't have that right We're not taking rights from you. We're just not giving you additional rights. Here it's a little different. We've got properties that are being proposed for rezoning that are no longer held by farmers. They're held by prospective developers with each of these tonight. And they're not done. I mean, they're looking for where things might go. Sometimes they take a gamble. Sometimes they might make their own presumptions. Sometimes they're just business savvy. And they get out ahead of things, and they look at the master plan and they look at other indicators of where they think development is going to go, and they take chances. And I think to that degree, developers are taking a risk as well. There's no guarantees that way. But in this instance, with this particular application, I can see the point that we have had for approximately, maybe 20 years, that this area would be LDR as future land use. It's been on in our master plan. And Tom, I think, spoke in the Planning Commission. I read the minutes. Those are some extensive minutes. And so I think they read your comments into the record, and they largely agreed with what Tom said both tonight as well as at that meeting. And Tom made the point, it's not determinative that the master plan would be supportive of this change. It is certainly a factor, and it is certainly, I would think, in the developer's favor, a strong factor, but it's not the only factor. And I share and have sympathy for the points that Tom has raised both tonight as well as at the Planning Commission. Concerns me to see so much of our agricultural land being developed at a higher ratio of density, because I think, as I've said repeatedly, and I don't mean to be a broken record, but I think as goes the density of the development, so goes at some point, and I think we're at that point, the not just health, safety, welfare, but the enjoyment of those who are currently here as residents, their ability to get around and go the places they wish to go, diminishes at some point. So I do not want this to be a township that is driven by developers, because we will be entirely developed. And they will not be our residents. They will be those who profited and built nice places and moved on. They're not going to drive this township, but there are times when they are within their rights, I believe, for what they seek. And I think this is one of those occasions where you look and say it's hard to deny under the criteria we have in our ordinance, and we call them the 3 C's, one of which Tom alluded to with comparative and consistent, and I can't remember the third one, capable. I think under that prism, we probably have to acknowledge that this meets those criteria. I think what we need to address as a township going forward is expanding or clarifying what the different grounds are that we could evaluate when a rezone request is made such as this. I think we're limited. I think we're cornering ourselves with the language we currently use. And I don't think, based on the court cases and the laws it's developed over the past 20 years, it's not incorporated in what we presently have in our ordinance. And I would like to see us bring it current so that there are more than those 3 C's, so to speak, but there are a variety of considerations when a request like this comes before us, one of which could be density and traffic and things of that nature. And so I definitely want to see us move ahead in getting a better ordinance on the books for addressing situations like this. I'd like us to look really carefully at our master plan as we complete that review. I do agree with farmland preservation where it makes the most sense. And I hear your point, Kelly, which is this isn't necessarily at the top of that list, okay, being on the perimeter. And we know across the road that Blendon's already going in the direction of LDR here as well. So I get that, right? But there will come that point, and I hope we're at that point with action by this board here in the coming months, that we could say we won't be as easily strong-armed, or we won't box ourselves in, and that we could in fact lay down a stop at some point to say, you know what, not here. We're not going. The next developer says, well, you're LDR there now, and why can't we be LDR here, right? And now they're LDR there, why can't we be LDR here? It's got to stop, and we've got to have the right processes and procedures and ordinances in place to stop it. But That all being said, I don't think this is the place. I don't think this request is the one. I think this one, as the planning commission came down, said, you know what, this meets our criteria as we currently evaluate it, and I think ultimately on that grounds, I would have to vote in support of it. Anyone else?
Well, I just want to add that the township itself put itself in this position when it built the ice arena outside of any other development prior to that.
Yeah, the voters, of course, voted for that, yep.
Well,
It was a vote of the township, yep.
the voters voted it down, the township decided to do it anyway. So
No,
the
I don't
board,
think that's-
yes, I remember very well. I had a lot of conversations with Dan Carlton about that.
Yeah.
But my point is, they ran the water and sewer out to there, and there's water and sewer there that's capable to service these parcels. And so if that had not happened, that still would be landlocked because of the fact there's no services for that.
Mm-hmm.
So the township created that area, as far as I'm concerned, to be that developed. They did that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we spent the money, and it's out there to develop that property, that corner.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure.
that's,
Valid point, yep, yep, I hear you. Anyone else? You don't have to, hearing none? All right, so the motion was to approve the resolution as recommended by the Planning Commission, which would rezone to LDR these parcels, supported by Kelly, and at this time, let's take a roll call vote.
Waringa,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Grassman,
Yes.
Beldink,
yes.
Piper is yes. All in favor.
All right, it's carried. All right, thank you. We're going to move on now to item 7, Roman numeral 2. A similar request, just in a different area here. This would change from rural residential to LDR. The parcels of land, they're described as you can see them in rezone 2602. Is there a motion to open the public hearing on this request?
So moved.
Support?
Move to support it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Public hearing's open. The mic is open.
Pete Plowman, 6877 Creek Ridge Court. Based upon what I heard on the board, if you're looking at the property owners and what they can do with their land, then if they want to make as much money as they want, I'm assuming we're just going to be going forward with building out the rest of Georgetown based upon the comments that were on the board. And really the ag part of this, trying to maintain that is not really realistic. So that's kind of what I got from the discussion from the board. That's unfortunate, but that's what I'm hearing. So I guess that's the route we're going. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Tom Healy, 2659 Cedar Grove North, Georgetown. I think I heard something different, which is the ordinances are not quite structured to allow the denial of the request. I think this second request that you're considering is already pretty much surrounded by LDR property. I think it's a different kind of consideration, and it deserves the board's approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing none, we'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Support?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Public hearing is closed. Is there a motion to approve the resolution that came from the Planning Commission to approve this rezone?
So moved.
Support?
Moved and supported. Discussion among the board. Gary, why do you support it?
Yeah, I got nothing.
When did you say I got nothing?
I got nothing.
Okay. Amy or Kevin, anybody wish to?
Future land use
Opinion?
outlined in the master plan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's probably why I'd support it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the surrounding area, and as Tom just mentioned, it fits the area. There's enough LDR already going to that area. The infrastructure's already in place, sewer and water. with Lowing Woods right there, with Hager Park right there. I mean, there's a number of different LDR already developed in there, and it's just a continuation of that plat.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. This one seems to be a stronger case than the one we just ruled on. But my comments, I guess I would say stand as it relates to these types of requests going forward. And I think I support this particular situation with the reasons given. So without Kelly here, I'm going to go ahead and call the roll, okay?
Yep.
So at this time, Kevin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
All right, supervisor votes yes, 4-0. It passes. That rezone is approved. And Kelly, if you want to rejoin us. Item 8, public comments for action items remaining on tonight's agenda. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board on any of the remaining agenda items this evening? If you've spoken already, you can speak again. That was a public hearing earlier on a particular proposal. You may come forward now and address us on anything else here on the agenda. All right.
Pete Plowman, 6877 Creek Ridge Court. Item, I think it was 6-2 on the Finance Committee subcommittee notes that you had there. In that subcommittee, you guys talked about transparency. You alluded not to change anything in that subcommittee. As we just found out, you found out how the minutes are critical to your knowledge, Jim, that you read the Planning Commission's minutes. Those are critical. At the time I was at the Planning Commission, Gary corrected me at that meeting because I misspoke, and I took it personally, but now that I understand, because he didn't have the meeting minutes from our finance meeting that I was part of, I understand that confusion. And then when asked later by Josiah Sammy for the Planning Commission, he didn't want to comment because he hadn't read the minutes for that meeting. So in order to have more transparency, I'm imploring you to take better minutes in those meetings. You could use Copilot from Microsoft. That would give you an executive summary of the meeting. You could also use Teams meeting and just click on closed captioning, and it would capture all the verbiage in that meeting. You could save that to a file and serve that out to the public and yourselves. I think it's a benefit for all of us to know what's going on in those committees. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, hearing none, we'll close that public comment period. We'll go to item number 9 on tonight's agenda, consent agenda. Is there a motion to support and approve of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Support.
All right, any comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's passed. Item 10, requesting final preliminary plat approval of Lowing Woods number 15. This is one for which Ms. Kuiper will recuse herself. All right. All right, is there a motion to approve the final preliminary plat of Lowing Woods number 15?
So moved.
Support.
It is supported. All right, it's on the table before you.
I'm just curious how they're going to get the future condos off that road.
Say it again.
I'm just curious how they're going to get the future condominiums off that road. There's no stub into that parcel.
There is one shown there, and you might just not be able to see it right across 405.
Oh, I see there's no lots on the other side. Okay, I misread that. I get that. Okay. Other than that, I don't have anything.
Okay, and in Planning Commission, anyone disagree? Were there any?
I was on vacation that time, so I have to digress from that.
Yeah.
Tom wants to talk up to that, but.
Okay. Kevin?
Nope.
No?
Don't have any questions.
Amy?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Through it.
Supervisor doesn't either. So, all right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You know what? This may be let's call the roll, just to be certain on this one. Doesn't say it as much, but let's just call it. Kevin?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Supervisor, yes. And it is passed and approved. Kelly, you can rejoin us. Item number 11, the Saturday Slip Inside event. Each year, as you know, this event goes on here at, we call it Charlie's Dump, but some might call it Rosewood. And each year we allow a third party to oversee this and conduct this event. It's been very popular. The township simply allows the park to be used, and they handle the responsibility and liability. So is there a motion tonight to approve of the 2026 Slip and Slide Event Agreement?
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. That agreement is modeled after the previous years.
Daybreak Community Church this time, though.
Yeah, it's worthy of mentioning.
We have a
Yeah.
rep here.
Yeah, please. Would love to have, our representative from the church. You can go ahead and promote it too at the same time. Thank you.
My name is Rachel. I'm the kids pastor at Daybreak Church, and Never the Same is ran by the same man, Jeff Eckert. He is our lead pastor. He's also the CEO of Never the Same. So Daybreak's been deeply involved with this event for years. We also know Steve Frody. He goes to Daybreak. He's the one who originally started the event with City to Shore, if you remember that a few years ago. But we're really excited to just take the lead this year and just make our Daybreak Kids and student ministry the forefront of that event. We would be hosting it, but the people who led it last year are going to transition and pass that off to us because we're deeply involved with that organization as well. So I just wanted to ease everyone's mind that it's going to be very similar to years past, and it's a lot of the same people leading it.
Good.
Great, good to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. All right, any conversation? No? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And it is approved. Item 12, the township sign. Is there a motion to approve the purchase of a new sign out front here?
So moved.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. You saw the sign comparisons, and I think if you paid attention to the sign, you see different sections that have gone out. I didn't realize this, but I think these signs, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but 5 to 7 years is their longevity, which seems not great.
I know.
I feel like they didn't advertise this when we started buying these.
Yeah. But you're talking specifically about LEDs, you mean?
Right,
Yeah.
like they go bad after 8 years, so.
Honestly, though, they're proliferating everywhere, not just townships, but schools and churches and,
Yeah.
right? So, one of the thoughts here was that the look is appreciated, that wood grain look is thought of well, and the consistency of that look around the township has been good. It's not been great for longevity either. Beyond the panels, the wood itself has been rotting, and we're trying to get the same look only with the longevity of a veneer. And so services looked at the different possibilities, colors, products that were out there, and we came up with the one that we recommended tonight. So I wonder what the rest of you think of it.
I like the white letters. The blue letters on the wood grain at the fountain, you can't read them.
Right, yeah.
At least I can. Maybe it's my eyesight, but it doesn't pop. This pops a lot better than that does. So.
And the color we suggested is closest to what the existing signs are for parks and such. It's a little wide, it's a little larger screen, right? A little better resolution.
Better, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is mock up the ball with color
on. Yeah. Andy, you looked at all this stuff. Give your pitch to those who weren't on services.
Universal, who we're going with, has been, well, both of the top 2 out of the 5 bids that we got were amazing to work with. But Universal came out very strong with a 5-year warranty for parts and service, which is borderline unheard of in this industry. So, yeah, it's a very well-to-do company. They do a lot of high-end work, so it's going to look sweet.
Great. It's a reflection on us. When people drive by, it's got to be good.
That's it. Make it look good. He said, yes, sir. So, yeah.
Anyone else?
The conversation we had at Services Committee really surrounded mostly around that warranty piece. The prices were pretty similar, and but I think it's worth noting that that warranty is pretty unique, and it's something that really weighed heavily on our decision making.
Yep.
Okay. Ready to vote?
I just had one
Yeah.
comment.
Yeah.
You talk about branding and that new sign that's on Chicago Drive coming from Hudsonville. It's green and white, and I'm always wondering why it doesn't match anything of our GT branding.
It's the cheap you're entering type, sign that you have at different points, like on 8th and other places.
Okay.
We ever want to make something nice at all those locations?
I was just curious. It doesn't even have GT like our logo.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I always go by, I'm like,
But they're
for
old.
some reason, it's Genesee Public Schools colors. That's why I asked
Yeah,
the
yeah.
question, so.
You know what I'd say to that, Gary? I know it's not before us right now, but that is obviously one of the key entry points to the township.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be opposed to something nicer in the future that's more consistent with what we do.
I'm not trying to spend more money. I just,
Well,
every time I go by there, because I go there quite a bit, I'm like, why is this sign not branded like everything else? It's branding. If you're going to spend the money branding, then brand everything now.
Yeah, yeah.
That's just my thought, but.
Yeah.
You're right.
It looks almost like it's a uniform requirement because you see it in all cities. You're now entering, you're now exiting. I don't know if there's a MDOT sign that, this is what they look like. But if we could.
The rationale was because there are smaller signs that we have at our entry points were green in those color scheme.
Yeah.
And we wanted to keep that, but I guess in the future, after this, it is a lot of wear and tear living or being on Chicago Drive that eventually we will have to replace it.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't know what we're doing now. I just brought it up because we're talking about signs.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, motion's before you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Item 13, addendum to fertilizing contracts for 25-26 with Priest Enterprises LLC. You recall we had this issue come before the board, and I think it was Gene who brought up some comments related to fertilizing. Then we identified which places actually could use it, which ones don't need it. Went back to services, and it's now back, went to finance, now it's back in front of the board. So is there a motion to approve the addendum to the fertilizing contracts with Priest Enterprises?
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Comments, questions? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? It is approved. Item 14, bank signature request with West Michigan Community Bank. This would be to add Andy to our accounts as well as the assistant superintendent. Is there a motion to approve of this addition to signers on our accounts?
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's carried. Item 16, resolution to commit funds to the Ottawa County Agricultural Land Preservation Program. You'll recall that we, 15. Sorry, Chief. Fire Department Personnel Policies and Procedure Manual. Is there a motion to approve the Fire Department Personnel Policies and Procedures Manual as recommended by the Finance Committee?
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. I trust everyone had read through that. I'll tell you that legal counsel was very involved in the drafting of it, as were Chief and Deputy Chief, which was appreciated, collaborative work. Comments,
It was a lot of reading.
questions? It was a lot.
It was a lot of reading. Yeah. No,
It's thorough.
Makes sense. It's thorough.
Yep.
And it looks like you crossed your T, dotted your I's, crossed your T's.
Is this, I don't do policy manuals and stuff, but in other townships or fire departments, this is something that gets reviewed every 2 or 3 years, just to update what we think. Things change,
The law changes. Yeah.
There's always, we just went through a lot of changes. That's why I'm asking, is that something that's reviewed annually or biannually, or what's the thoughts on that?
So basically, as we run into issues, like I've been sitting down with our 6 candidates that accepted the position for firefighter, and we talk about the position, we talk about what the expectations, and all 6 of them brought up different things that we may have not covered in the manual. And I said, well, we're going to write it down, we're going to reevaluate, and we'll benchmark this, because this isn't the silver bullet to fix everything. It's a starting point. So.
Yeah. Good. That's a good point, though. And I think Chief and Deputy Chief are pretty good about bringing things to our attention that they'll notice, because they'll hear things in the industry, so to speak, that we don't. And then legal counsel has been helpful, albeit sometimes you need to ask, hey, would you review? And maybe that's a tickler that's, every year or 2 years on a given set of policies and procedures or handbooks or whatever. Has anything changed that we should be aware of? I know we had a lot the past year, the past couple years, legally, that impacted a lot of my clients I know, and I think it will impact us as well.
Yeah.
So we need to stay on top of that, and council does help us with that. Other comments? Okay, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is passed. Now, item 16, resolution to commit funds to the Ottawa County Agricultural Land Preservation Program. Is there a motion to approve a resolution authorizing the township to commit funds to this land preservation program as recommended by Finance?
So moved.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. This is sort of the next step beyond what we voted on a couple of months back, where we agreed and passed a resolution supporting this preservation program. Now this would be positioning us to commit funds if there were an opportunity within the township. And I want Justin, so I think it's important to understand the nuance behind this in terms of how the money works, how it works with the property owner, and how we continue to remain in control of the money and at our discretion as a township. So just participation and commitment to funding doesn't automatically mean the right of access to that fund. We have to actually authorize it. Could you give a for instance?
Yeah, so I guess I've been working on this since other communities in our area have been fighting against battery plants, solar, wind energy, basically everything revolving around Public Act 233. I kind of want to turn the tables and give the local municipality power to basically, I guess, control and fight back. And this is a tool that I helped and worked with Ottawa County to develop, and so far in the entire Ottawa County, no municipality have done anything like this. And what it does is that landowners who have land would apply to the program, and they're ranked. And the ranking, as you can see from this, what we have on the screen, Andy, you want to put that on the screen for everyone? The screen, these landowners have their properties been preserved. And what this does is there's a ranking. And the ranking, typically they take the first couple two. And if you have a property in your municipality that people apply their interest in preserving it, and it didn't get adopted into the program, Ottawa County then call us and say, you have this property owner, they came in, whatever ranking they are, if your board wishes to fund it, we can delegate funds to this program and preserve farmland. I think this would help combat as we look at our high transmission power lines that we have through our northwest quadrant with vacant property. I know our property values are higher than other areas. It's kind of skewed them away. But it seems like every time I read the news, every municipality around us is dealing with this. And this will be at our doorstep because we have those high transmission lines. And that allows us to protect our farmland and give us a tool to fight back. So it doesn't lock us in. It doesn't mandate that we have to spend. It's up to the board to decide, yeah, this is an opportunity for us to preserve it, and we can do so with township dollars.
So, Justin, are there federal and state dollars available for this very same type of purchase, right?
Correct, but usually...
Could be that perhaps one of our properties could be purchased with funds other than township funds as well, right?
Right. Ideally, we would, if a landowner would like their property preserved, that program would take it. But we are also competing against other municipalities across the entire county, and there may be a farm that scores higher to the Ottawa County standards for farmland preservation.
So far, we're not one of the starred spots, so we've not had one as yet.
No, but we just entered the agreement last fall.
Sure.
So
good point. Good point.
I'm excited. I think I've been reaching out to a few property owners. They're interested, but they're cautiously optimistic. So.
What would be the benefit for the property owner, other than they could maintain the property as a farm?
Yeah, so the development rights, so say it was worth $10,000 an acre. They would get 75% paid to them in a check, and they could continue to maintain and operate their farm. So the township would not take any property. We would just be committing funds to preserve farmland. So these large chunks of 40 to 80 acres, we could preserve.
And you could either have the county hold those funds, or we could hold them in a separate account under our control, correct?
So in the 2026 budget, I didn't allocate dollars because this wasn't on our radar. Moving forward into the 27 budget, we can allocate dollars for that.
Okay. All right, and if something came up before then, we'd have to look at an amended budget.
Correct.
All right. Yeah, I don't want a battery plant.
You
Or
say
solar
that,
farm.
but let me go the other way with it, okay? So let's say you preserve 80 acres in the northwest quadrant, and the rest of the property gets developed. The first time that guy drops that disc in there in the spring and starts spreading cow manure, all the people that live around that 80 acres is gonna be calling here going, what are we gonna do? I mean, this is terrible. I moved here in Jenison, and you got this 80 acres, and this guy just continues to farm it. I've gone through that. I built dormitories in Allendale by Grand Valley, and they spread turkey manure one day, and I'll tell you what, about drove the people out of the buildings. So it'll burn a little thing between your nostrils. And I'm just like, that's my concern, is that you can say you can save that property, but if we're a bedroom community and we continue, we're still going to be developing some of this property. I get it, you want to save some for farmland, but I also agree with Kelly. It's not necessarily prime farmland because it's going to be developed around it. So that's my only caveat, is that if you go ahead and develop and you save that 80, or even if you save 160 acres and they develop around it, all of a sudden you got upset people because they don't understand. They built their house in the winter, and then spring comes, and now they've got noise and dust and smell, and they're not going to be ready for that.
Yeah. So, yeah, and there's language that has to be included in many deeds to that effect. You move next to a pig farm and then you complain that it smells like pigs, right? Who is there first, right?
I understand
Kind of being
that.
presumptive to go, oh, it's eventually going to be houses like this. Maybe it won't, you know?
And we have the right to farm. That isn't it. But it's our people that'll take the brunt of it because they're going to get the phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
And if a farm enters the preservation program, is that a revocable decision or irrevocable?
Once it gets adopted, it's irrevocable. So.
Okay.
So I have a quick question. When we brought up this PDR program, and in fact, I'm the one who brought it up and brought it to a committee. If I remember correctly, though, there was some hesitation on the township's part. And that hesitation surrounded, from my memory, in terms of what would the township be giving up or committing to this. And at the time when we made a motion, it was, this is just to add another tool in the toolkit. This is just to give people simply another tool, kind of add to their arsenal to maintain their property rights. And that was always my focus. It's a tool in the toolkit for folks to be able to kind of manage their property rights in whatever way they see fit and works for them. I guess I'm just a little confused as to how we got to the point from that conversation to today where we're ready to spend taxpayer dollars to have government-owned property. So can you explain to me how we're here kind of deciding to commit township dollars to support a program that sort of had some hesitancy around it in the beginning? At least that's my recollection.
Yeah, I can explain it. I'm going with Jim. I don't want a battery plant. I want to deal with the questions behind a battery plant. And under Public Act 233, under the current guidelines, I have no control over it. And we're stuck. And if a landowner is approached by a developer to put in a battery plant or put in wind, solar, whatever it is, I have a tool that I can say, you know what, they're giving you money to basically retire or whatever, and that's going to be stuck, a battery plant or a wind, solar. The township has the ability to counteract it. That's where I came up with this toolbox. No one else in Ottawa County has done this. And the reality is I think if you talk to Jamestown, Zeeland, or other communities around in Ottawa County, if they would have this, they would say, yes, I would commit dollars because I don't want to deal with this.
But then is the tool being used to preserve farmland or just prohibit other land uses?
As of right now, it's protect the township. I can't guarantee in the future what it could be, because I hope in the next year, public PA 233 is repealed.
And then my last question is, do you have a dollar amount in mind that we would fund this program with? That's the one thing I noticed was missing in this language, and my concern would be that we would be voting on a blank check potentially of
No,
taxpayer
so
dollars.
every property would come to the board, and you would evaluate it for how much it costs. Does it benefit the township? I talked to Ottawa County, and they said, well, we have people that have muck property that they want to preserve. It's like, I don't see long-term vision that the township should preserve muck fields, because it's really unbuildable. But for a property that's adjacent to high-voltage power lines, it may be advantageous for us to protect it.
Would we notify property owners that this may be available to them?
Yes. If I know I have this tool in my toolbox, I'll engage them more than I have
That
been.
you would send out notifications? that
Ottawa
this is
County has
available?
sent out cards currently, and I would follow up areas of interest that would benefit the township. Not every landowner, but areas of interest.
Kelly, did you think that initial vote was to open up support for what the county might do and what they might pay? You weren't thinking
Yeah.
of township participation?
I mean, if you go to the Ottawa County Agricultural Preservation homepage on their website, it very specifically says Ottawa County would, basically take your property, we would manage, or you would, give up your development rights. Property owners are required to supply 26% of the fair market value, and the remainder value would be paid to them through state or federal grant funding.
Mm-hmm.
So then when I followed up further on that, it was nobody else is using local tax dollars to fund this. And I think maybe that's framed as a positive thing, is we're in a position where we get to use local tax dollars to do that. I'm not quite sure I see it that way, unfortunately. I think we had an ability to provide a toolkit, and now we're sort of taking it to a place where I'm just concerned about what precedent we're setting in terms of directing what we see fit in terms of land use by owning properties.
So we wouldn't be owning property,
Well, essentially through the rights, you'd be master of the rights, if you will.
I don't think so. I think you'd be removing the ability for its use other than farm use, right? So to that degree, you're not the owner, you're not in control of the property.
Sure.
Different that way.
Yeah, and all of that's fair. I just think it's interesting, when I talked to Becky about the program, right? I mean, one of the things is that they do rank properties, right? They rank properties, and she kind of confirmed that there's not a single property in Georgetown Township that would outrank another piece of farmland in Ottawa County. We just simply don't have prime farmland. We are too developed already, and so we likely wouldn't qualify for this program. And on that, with knowing that, maybe there's some wisdom in this, but I'm just not sure that the way that I see it, I'm comfortable designating. With everything else we have going on, I'm not sure that I see that this is
I guess, one, you just made the point stronger for it, to say that we really don't have the kind of farmland that would rank high enough. And in fact, I don't see any stars on our map there, right?
Right.
So this would still give us an opportunity, if it was important to the township but not to the county, to be able to step in. That, to me, is in favor of it. And I guess as it relates to the concern about funds, we're not committing any funds. We're just providing the avenue that if the opportunity presented itself, we would be able.
I think all of those are fair points. I think to the point about prime farmland versus not, the purpose of this program is to preserve prime farmland for agricultural use in perpetuity, and so that's just where my hang-up is.
I don't see the word prime up there. I mean, that's not how I took it. It's farmland.
Sure. I had a different conversation with Mrs. Hedinga today, but yeah, I mean, I think we all are seeking our own information, and that's sort of where I was left after kind of doing some fact-finding of my own.
My interpretation of that then is that they're saying we don't have the dollars to go after as many pieces as we might wish, so we're looking at the prime, That makes sense. It's not itself in the title, it's not itself necessarily even limiting that way, but the funds may dictate as much. We really can't afford to buy here, there, and everywhere. We're going to target the really prime opportunities, right? And we may not be one of them. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's my question too. So if you send out notification to property owners that this program may be available if the solar farm comes, what is our commitment then if they go, okay, I've been given this offer, do we also have to come up with all this money to do this? And where's that money come from? Because grants and everything take time. You don't get them overnight. So my concern is that we make a promise to something that we can't fulfill. And if we sign a resolution on that, I'm just not, I mean, I understand what we're doing. I think I agree that it's good we can try to get ahead of the solar and battery plants and all that stuff. I don't want that in the township either. But I'm trying to figure out if we put ourselves in a position that we can't do what we say. I mean, I know what.
And what are we saying, that we will do it or that we'll consider it?
Well, that's what I want to know. The notification that you send a property owner, are you saying that we will do this if they get an offer from a solar company? Or we're going to consider it?
I would think you could only consider, you wouldn't be able to commit because you're not the.
Well, that's why I just want to make sure we're not committing to something that we can't fund.
Yeah.
And then we
When
have
you
to
say
vote
can't, yeah, we'd have to vote on it, right?
on it each time.
So it'd be consideration. And we're told continually, especially during election years, you've got way too much money. You guys have this rainy day fund that has no end. I could see very well allocating, $2-3 million of that so-called excess and saying we're gonna still get interest on it. We're gonna invest it. Let's put it over here in this segregated fund for the long-term benefit of the township when those opportunities arise, because we have the ability to do so, because the management has been there in that respect. Might say other townships wouldn't have the same ability.
Is the land value determined based on the assessed value or appraisal, like a fair market appraisal?
I don't, you spoke to Becky today. I believe it's the market value of the property.
It's to Gary's point that person one, applicant A comes to us and the fair market value is just something through the roof, right? You've got very limited property. So you now dedicate funds potentially for this, and then applicant B comes with an even more egregious project, but now we don't have any money left over for it. There is a concern about where this goes, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the people you're competing against have bigger pockets than we do. The Microsofts and the Googles and them, they've got deep pockets. And that's why they pick on the poor townships, to be honest with you, because they don't have any money to fight them. I mean, fortunately, we're not one of them yet, but I'm just saying there are other townships that I think they pick on.
I trust a future board to make a wise decision if something like this should arise.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it still would be voted on, even if we voted yes for resolution. We wouldn't be committed because we vote yes on this resolution without a board approval to spend the funds, right?
Right.
Right. Correct.
Other thoughts? All right, hearing none. So roll call vote.
Wieringa,
Yes.
Grossman,
Yes.
Beldink,
Yes.
Ellie,
Yes.
Kuiper is a no. Motion passes.
Okay, item number 17, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 2026-03, which would be a temporary moratorium as recommended by the Finance Committee. Is there a motion to approve the introduction and first reading of this ordinance?
So moved.
Support.
All right, so introduction and first reading is for discussion and debate. It's not for decision tonight. This came out of Finance, and I feel compelled in that respect, although Kevin thankfully filled in. I know John was gone and Gene was gone. The idea is not entirely new, but it's something we've kicked around and thought about. There's just a lot going on in the township. We're at I keep using the word tipping point, but we're at a point where development-wise and future-wise, what are we going to be? What are we going to become? What are we? We're a bedroom community, as has been pointed out. I agree with that. So what does that look like? And what does the next 20 to 30 years look like. It's part of the reason we're going through the master plan review right now, which we're required to do every 5 years. You know, I know we've been told before the master plan isn't, you know, the be-all, end-all, can't dictate what happens, but we've seen time and again how it does, and how important it is in some of the decisions we make. We've looked at and we've all noticed the fact of congestion and traffic and the lack of arteries to get here and there, and not having a bridge across the river and not getting an exit at 48th, and people getting more and more frustrated with their commutes around town. But more importantly, as is pointed out in this intent and findings here, we've been hit here in the last year or two with issues related to water and water capacity and future expenditure and City of Wyoming's requirements of us. We've had issues related to a fire department that's saying, look, we need to grow into the size that we are for this township. The township's 56,000 people, and we've taken a step in that direction. But we're still potentially going to grow a lot more, depending on which way things go over the next 20 to 30 years. And so I want us to be, my viewpoint, I want us to be thoughtful at this inflection point in terms of making sure that if we're going to go more the direction of we want more development, we want, a greater tax base, whatever it is people want, if they want apartments, if they want this, that, or the other. It's not my thing, but it might be the majority view, whether now or in the future. Well, we've got to be sure we can provide the services to that type of view and to that type of development. And right now, I think it's in question whether we can provide the utilities and the fire, safety, health, welfare of our residents in those areas if we just allow growth to continue without an overall plan for what the future ought to look like. So it seems like an opportune time with the master plan being reviewed, with the growth in our fire department, with the issues we're having now in terms of providing water. And I think we talked recently to one of the experts on what would it cost to provide water in a couple of the sectors. It was like $20 million between two different holding tanks. I mean, these are serious, significant growth challenges that we would have depending on where we head with the use of remaining land in the township. And rather than be at the whim for the remainder of this time between now and the end of the master plan review process, approximately the end of the year, we thought it'd be good to say, okay, time out. Let's let this play out. Let's continue to do the study we need to figure out what this is going to look like fire safety wise, water provision wise, even electricity wise. We need to do this thoughtfully and smartly, because otherwise we look back later and we say, it's too late. It's too late. This has gone to approval and that one's gone to, this use or this future use. So it happens. Moratoriums, as I've looked into it, happen more often than you might think. But they have to be temporary, and this one's proposed to be temporary, 8 months. And I think it would be a wise decision to be thoughtful about where we head with future planning for the township. So that's one person's view. Floor is open.
Yeah, I agree. Sitting on the Utilities Committee, I know that when Cedar Valley was approved on the north side of Fillmore, the engineers we have questioned whether or not the lift station at Fillmore was going to be sufficient to do the 190 lot plat, which they're not doing all at once, of course. And so we put a flow chart on there, and we were told that we needed to be on there for 3 years, only been on there 2. So I talked to Joe last week, our DPW guy, and he's like, yeah, we're going to start getting readings on there pretty quick, because that lift pump goes to Maplewood Lake, and then that goes into the gravity feed back to Granville Sewage Treatment Plant. And so there's a water probably isn't a big issue as what sewer's going to be. I think there's going to be some talk about upgrading lift pumps, making them larger. It's going to be expensive. And the development that's at Cedar Valley, and then the one that we looked at for Eastbrook Homes, those between the two of them, you're looking at almost 500 houses on that lift pump system. And so I think this would give our DPW guys an opportunity to figure out what to do, because like I say, that metering station's only been on there for 2 years, and it was recommended to be on there 3. So I'm hoping that we can get some good numbers on what to do with future sewage pumps.
Justin, talk about what this would prevent and what it would not. It's nuanced, yeah.
Yeah, so like the, I guess, plats that are already been through the process up to, so if they had a preliminary plat approval, they would still move through. New ones would be holded. Any person with a lot, one lot, they want to build this house, they're planning to build this house, they could still build a house. It's the bigger development that we're looking at. Just to piggy off what Gary said, I have a memo that's going to the utilities about sewer capacity, what that looks like, and it's going to be expensive. I think it was $750,000 per pump, so we're looking at $1.5 million for that. We also, I guess about 6 weeks ago, I had Joel gave me an estimate from Pride and Newhoff to look at our service capability of Georgetown Township as a whole. What does that look like? Wyoming's doing a Wyoming water reliability study and for the whole system, and we're going to do one for Georgetown Township. And we should have both those reports this summer, and then we can come back with the findings. The biggest issues we have is spiking of our township water system in the summer. For 5 months out of the year, we don't have capacity for homes. The other 7 months we do, because the way that people are using water in Georgetown Township is blowing past the 80% threshold, and we're basically causing the Wyoming water system to do all these improvements because we're demanding so much water compared to our high usage and our low usage throughout the year. So that's something we have to look at. And one of the, I guess, without doing the study, they came up with that you're probably going to have more capacity so that during those peak event days, you can draw down your water tanks versus trying to pull water from the system. Like you said, Jim, like per tank, it's $9 million. And for us to take on that cost, it takes years for us to build up enough capital to make that type of investment. And the flip side is, do you want to make that investment for something that you use only for 5 of the 12 months of the year? Because the other months of the year, we don't need it. So there's a lot of things that we have to look at and evaluate and make sure that we're making good decisions today so that we have an adequate water today so we can meet our demand needs today, tomorrow, and the future.
I think similar to the last agenda item, though, I read through this and I kind of thought to myself, I mean, sure, we've talked about water, we've talked about sewer, but Jim, you mentioned we've been kicking this around, and I just don't remember that, truly. I don't know if I've ever heard the words moratorium once spoken out loud by this board. So for me to kind of open the Finance Committee meeting minutes and then seeing this agenda, I was just a little taken aback, right? As a board member, it feels like I was on the outside of a pretty major decision, and I'm just kind of a little shocked by how we got to the point of reading a fully drafted ordinance tonight when, in my opinion, I haven't heard the words moratorium before.
When I say kicking around, I didn't mean in board discussion like this. I might be talking to Justin, what do we do about City of Wyoming? What do we do now with City of Granville? What do we do with these challenges coming at us? And it was more in that context sort of thing. Do we look at that? Do we talk to council about that? What does that look like? Okay. And so, fair enough. It wasn't in this context.
And so I guess with that, you know, I take kind of what we wrote in our intent and findings pretty seriously, and I think that if we're going to move forward with such an ordinance, I think it's worthy of kind of dissecting some of these intent in finding statements a little bit further. So I just had a few questions. I'm not sure if Justin, you're the right person, or if there's other members of the board, but even, item number A, right, the provisions of the township zoning ordinance and master plan regarding various matters have not kept pace with development patterns. That feels like such a broad statement, and so I didn't know if there was something particular we could point to. For me, I don't know that I love the idea of just kind of throwing in catch-all phrases. Is there a particular issue with the zoning ordinance or master plan that we're trying to address with this? And if so, should that be a part of this documentation, or at least part of the discussion for the board to say it's, these ordinances are the things that we really need to take note of or discuss further?
So I think going back to that point, I guess through this whole process with the master plan, we talked about, we can have a master plan, but if we don't have ordinances around that to support our vision for the future, what's the purpose of our master plan? So I think that was the intent.
Okay.
And again, this was drafted by our attorney.
Okay. And then talking about the water issue, the statement that I highlighted was the current public water system can have its capacity exceeded during peak demand days. And I think you kind of answered my question. You made a reference to that 80% threshold mark. I just think that's really important to clarify, because it almost sounds as if like there are times during the year when people would turn on their faucet and water wouldn't run. And I don't think we're there yet. So it feels like that statement might need a bit more context. But then I also, what Gary said, I think is equally important. This document takes a lot of time, a whole paragraph dedicated to water capacity issues, when in the reality there might be sewer capacity issues as well, right? So I feel like we might be missing part of the context. If we really want to put in a moratorium and be thorough about what we're going to speak to, are there also sewer issues that we should be looking to? This document, in my opinion, is going to kind of guide what we do during a moratorium. It's going to guide the decision making. And if sewer is the issue, sewer's, not brought up at all, right?
But the sewer, come this summer, I'll have more information from the meetings I have had with the Wyoming committee, looking at their operations, looking at their CIP. After our last meeting, I left and I talked to Pat, and I said, Pat, I think I need a rep for either you or the city of Granville to come and talk about what the needs are at the Granville sewer plant.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time with that discussion.
Because it's going to be a scenario just like the city of Wyoming, where, it's fine until all of a sudden, hey, you got to do X, Y, and Z. It's going to cost this $1 million, and you owe this much percentage. That's coming. But I haven't got those numbers yet.
Sure. And I think on that note, that's kind of also important to the context of this decision, right? We've got a water study that's going to be coming from the city of Wyoming, but not available till the summer. We've got Joel doing some research on his own, but that data is not going to be available to this summer. As Jim pointed out, moratoriums are meant to be temporary, and some of the most critical information that we need to make quality decisions won't even be available for months from now, eating into that moratorium timeline. So I just wonder, are we a bit ahead of ourselves? Because what is the data that we're trying to correct here? At this point, we have our pulse on it, but then it feels anecdotal as compared to actually having hard data to say, this is what we're trying to correct. I just had a couple other items. The paragraph speaking to fire concerns, fire response times, if you will. I also I just want to clarify, for me, I read that and I kind of thought, we spent a lot of time talking about fire response times, and that was a part of the decision making in terms of how we landed on 6 additional full-time firefighters, was because 6 additional full-time firefighters was sort of the minimum full-time number of firefighters we would need to maintain adequate response times or similar to current response times. So, the fact that's sort of the rationale that we used for our decision making, it caught me off guard a little bit to read that the township has not yet established anticipated response time requirements. And it sort of suggests that hasn't been thought out yet. So I was a little confused by the language that was included there, and I wasn't sure if you could maybe speak to that a little bit further.
So I guess chiefs in the room here maybe have to jump in, but as we transition from the E unit that's spread around and basically moves around the township to a static point, we don't have that data, right? I don't know what this looks like. And to throw in hundreds of homes, thousands of people, is to me, is not doing our due diligence as stewards to our citizens.
And then just a couple other points. Obviously I'm in this business, so my coworker spends a lot of time dealing with franchise utilities, and I have not heard that there's going to be electrical grid issues. Is that something that we've received notification on, that there's an issue with the electrical grid? I mean, we work with consumers, nearly every day, and that's not come up on my radar yet.
So Consumers Energy was supposed to be here in January. The weather was terrible, so they canceled. So there's a rep who would like to come back. I haven't spoke to him recently, and he wants to give an update on basically substations and infrastructure they would have to include in Georgetown Township in the future.
Okay. And then the last one, just the impact of increased traffic on public safety. This has come up a lot, but again, this feels sort of like this big, broad catch-all statement, and I just wondered, is the township considering implementing their own traffic study to actually collect data on what the traffic impacts are, or what traffic impacts we aim to correct?
So that, again, we work with our partners, the Ottawa County Road Commission. That has not come up through utilities, but it's something we're evaluating when you add hundreds of homes and thousands of people.
The only reason I bring up these points is, like I said, I think it's really important that we dial into exactly what we're suggesting this moratorium is for. And I think that after looking at these different statements that are being made and kind of hearing that we're waiting on a lot of data, we haven't received this data yet. The Consumers Energy rep hasn't spoke to us yet. We plan to get some information this summer. I think it's really important that we make thoughtful, as Jim said, thoughtful and smart decisions for our constituents. And I'm not necessarily disagreeing that ultimately the moratorium might be the proper tool to do that with, but I'm not sure it's prudent at this point. I don't think we have enough data to warrant saying that a full stop moratorium is the route that we need to take. We don't have the data to say this is what's happening. It's anecdotal, and I'm concerned that is not thoughtful and smart decision making when we don't have data to support what we're doing. And I just think that's worthy of bringing up here, is that I think in order for us to be thoughtful, be smart, be good stewards of our community, we can't be making decisions based on perception and personal opinion. We need to be making decisions based on actual data that's been presented to us. And I don't know that I've heard any information that we have data to support this document. And not to mention that development doesn't come in the thousands at a time. A single phase is 20 to 40 houses maybe. So development is incremental, and it's decreased significantly over the last few years in this township. So I'm not sure, again, that the data really supports this decision, and I just want to make sure that we're, again, being thoughtful and being smart with what we're doing here.
Anyone else?
I actually think that this is, you're right, Kelly, we don't have a lot of the data in front of us, but this gives us the opportunity to gather the data. We have studies that are due within the next couple of months leading into the summer. This moratorium gets us until 9 months, and it's got to go through 2 readings, obviously, so it wouldn't be fully put in place probably till either the next board meeting or the meeting after that. So you're probably talking December that this gives us a stoppage point up into to gather that data, to find out what Wyoming says about the water, what Granville says about the sewer, what Consumers Energy says about the power, and what an Ottawa County Road Commission can tell us about traffic studies. But I think that is being good stewards, because at some point in time, just because the land's there doesn't mean we have to develop the land. But we have to make sure that if we are going to develop the land, that we take in consideration the public health, safety, and welfare of the 56,000 residents. Putting the cart before the horse doesn't make sense. I really think that we have to make sure that what we have, whether it's police and fire, whether it's water, whether it's sewer, will serve that new development going in. And not saying that we don't want to develop any more of Ottawa County or Georgetown Township. It's saying that if we are going to, we have to make sure that we can serve those people and serve those residents that are going to be moving into those areas. I also think that, again, I always remember this scenario of when they built M6 and they put the bridge in that connected M6 into 196, and they never tested it to hold cars. It tested to hold the strength of the concrete, but they had to rebuild the darn thing because they thought, oh my God, there's going to be cars on top of that too. Well, we have water over there and we have sewer over there, but is it enough to provide for an additional X amount of houses or residents? So I think this does do the due diligence and does allow us to take kind of a stop and say, hey, okay, hold on a second, let's take a step back and just say, we've had so much issues with water over the last year and a half, and price increases from City of Wyoming, and guaranteed there'll be another one this year, right? It's probably no secret that they're going to go, well, guess what? Your capacity increased again. I think it does give us a chance to step back and just say, where are we at? You know, I mean, if we're going to continue to approve plats or continue to approve development, we have to make sure as a township that we can provide those services.
Anyone else? And I would say that we have some record. We're looking to develop the record further and the analysis further with some of these studies that are mentioned. But we have, those of us who sat on this board the past year, a great deal of information already as it relates to the water situation as well as the fire. And we were presented with a lot of detailed information about that. And so I think we're informed by that, but we can be more fully informed with further study and input that we're about to receive during the coming months. So I don't want it to stand that we don't have a basis on which to make the decision with present information, but I think there will be additional information that will be developed during this period of time as well.
The other part of it is you know, our master plan. That's to be completed sometime early summer as well. Am I correct in saying that? Mm-hmm. So the final draft there, I guess, to see where we're at with that and how that all conforms.
Not hearing anyone else. It's a roll call vote.
Wieringa?
Yes.
Piper's a no. Grassman?
Yes.
Helly?
Yes.
Beldink?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Right, item number 18, second public comment period. At this time, you can come forward if you wish and address the board on any topic, whether we covered it tonight or not. Yeah.
Okay. I saw some people standing up, so I wanted to wait. Good evening. My name is Anna White. I'm actually from Park Township. I'm running for Ottawa County District Court Judge this fall. I wanted to come meet all of you. I'm currently the Deputy Public Defender for Ottawa County, and I've lived and worked in Ottawa County for over 20 years now, both as an attorney and also as a social worker. I started my career working with victims of domestic and sexual assault at Resilience. So been working in this county for a long time, working with individuals, families on all sides of legal issues. I also did a lot of mediation during that time in private practice as well. Married, my husband is Josh. He works at Gentex. He's been there about 24 years. We've been in this community for a long time and plan to stay. I have a 14-year-old son and a 10-year-old daughter, and I want to make a community that's good for them. So that's part of my goal, is to be a judge who will listen, treat people with dignity and respect, no matter what brings them in, and also hold people accountable, because I think accountability is really important for community safety. Thank you so much for your time. I have some cards. May I stand up and give you these while I'm standing here, if that's okay?
Whose position would you be running for? Who's stepping down?
Yes,
Or?
Judge Canal is aging out, so
Okay.
he will not be running again. So
Thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
how you aging out?
Yes.
70 years old.
I know.
Oh, don't tell my kids that. I'll be using that term from now on. I'm just aging out.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, did I?
Yes.
If it was open to going backwards a bit, I think you just said all this was open to.
Oh, yeah, anything you wish to. Yep, yep.
Mick McGraw with Eastbrook Homes and building business now and banking before building for 50 years. I've had a chance to watch a lot of this. And we appreciate our relationship with Georgetown Township. We enjoy working with you guys. It's been good. Just a comment, watching, where we're going. I know that you used the word tipping point and where things are going. We track building permits almost everywhere and look at that and see what's happening. Georgetown Township, I think in 2015, had 200 and some single-family permits. It shrunk to 2024. I don't have an end of data for 2025, down to 84. And if you look at 23 and 2, it's like 140, 120, and then 84. I don't know what it'll be for 25, but I think it'll be close to that 84. So you're not seeing this groundswell of development. It's actually going in that opposite direction. I think the concern for it taking over your capacity probably isn't here now. Now, it might have been true 20 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, but it's really, the data doesn't support that growth. It supports you're doing 40% of what you were doing just 10 years ago in the way of single-family permits. So just for a little bit of information to chew on as well. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Jim?
Yeah.
You'd have to give his address.
Oh.
My address is 5333 Settlers Pass, Kentwood, Michigan.
Thank you.
Like on your own time.
Yeah, good evening.
So my name is Alaire Schneider. I'm at 7553.
Sorry? Name?
Schneider. And I'm at 7553 Hidden Forest
Liz
Drive.
Schneider?
Yep. Okay. Drive, Michigan. All right, so the few things I want to go over, I'll try to go really quick. When you're talking about the farms, maybe look at farm co-ops. That might be a way to actually get more money to your farmers, kind of like a Costco for the farms. Changing from grass to something like no water and creeping time might be a good idea, especially because we're going to have an AI data center here soon, and that will eat up water and electricity. And a lot of these AI data centers are renowned for taking their electricity costs and putting that onto the surrounding communities. So maybe you might want to look at some things like tulip turbines and Archimedes turbines to try to offset people's electrical costs, because those are going to go sky high. So just some things to think about in your electrical stuff and your water long-term needs. Now, the reasons I actually came here for today are two things. One, I would like to deflock our area, and the other is I would like to stop any 287 agreements that we have between ICE and our local police officers. The deflocking, so in regards to that, I do not want our data going to big tech bros. It's not just to the local police, it goes to big tech, which is Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, who are in the files, who went through Doge, and now they're being prosecuted for some of the things that they were doing. Thiel's the one who has Palantir. Real estate, that is where all this stuff is going to. That means, Ring cameras just got involved with that, but they're actually giving that data to the tech pros as well. I do not want that data going to them. Here are some of the things that they're doing in other places. I am going to leave this so you can look at this. Woman in Denver, actually, here's the information on how you are guilty and you have to prove yourself innocent. 5 flocks. Guess what? She was innocent. She had to prove that. Another teenage boy, he had a gun. That's what the AI said. Send in cops. Guess what? It was a bag of chips. Now he doesn't want to come and leave his house. We also have in the UK, they have a digital ID, which is what Ellison, another tech bro, wanted, and they're locking their systems down. They're trying to use the flocks over there to say you have a 15-minute city. You have so many times you can leave free from your city in the current legislation they're trying to put through. Then you're going to be charged to leave your town. How are they doing that? The flocks. I do not want dynamic pricing. All of this is being done by flocks. I want them out. So I'm going to leave this information for you to do that in regards to the stopping the 287Gs with ICE. In the Renee murder case, the FBI will not release the footage of the murder to the state so they can prosecute. That is obstruction of justice, not justice. We have the Epstein files. They're not releasing them even after an act of Congress. That is obstruction of justice. We have a top level that is not following law. I do not want, we just now had a whistleblower come out in the last 48 hours, and he's stating in the training that they are actually teaching them not to be accordance to our basically violate our rights, right? They're not cops. They're not allowed to even give you a speeding ticket, let alone bust into your car, bust into your house, which is violations of Amendment 4 and other violations of your rights. I do not want that being done in these locations. If this was about crime, then why are they not going after the rich white men who make money off knowingly, illegally hiring people who are undocumented, making a profit off it? Instead, they're going after the poor brown people who are just trying to work. I do not want affiliations with ICE, and if they are violating the laws, I want our police officers arresting them like they would do anybody else.
Time.
Here's the information there's court cases on it.
Give it to Justin. He reads all that stuff. He's really good at it.
Thank you.
Tom Healy, 2659 Cedar Grove North, Jenison. I just appreciate the board and the manner in which you conduct a cordial discussion of the points that are pertinent to all of you. I think you all commit a great deal of effort, energy, and integrity to this process. And as a citizen of this township, I am grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd say the same to the Planning Commission.
Pete Plowman, 6877 Creek Ridge Court, Hudsonville. Couple things. On the farmland preservation, great. I totally agree with the decision you made. Good job on that. And it really comes down to data center, battery plant, solar company wants to come in here. At least it gives us one more tool, because without it, we're not going to be able to do anything. On the building moratorium, I think that was a great choice as well. You need to give yourself a little time to figure out all these issues before we go ahead and build out. I think that was right there. The other point is, if ICE comes in here, I want them in here by the millions so they can help, handle law and do it the right way so that everybody lives by the same rules, not just exceptions for others. And the last thing I want to say, wasn't that a great hockey game Sunday night? USA. Thank you.
Are you going to say something about Verlander coming back to Detroit? Anyone else? Yes. Welcome.
My name is Michelle Veda. I actually do not live out here. I'm here in regards to the Christmas lights.
You can, if you can give us your address anyway, yeah.
Okay, it's 5586 Belding Road.
Okay, welcome.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that was the...
No.
Okay, my bad.
Thanks for recognizing that. I thought maybe she just... All right. I promise. All right.
We don't want to get drawn in that committee. We already got another committee.
Yeah. Seeing no one else, we'll close this public comment period. Go on to item number 19, discussion and general information. I definitely want to lead this off. I wanted to bring Kevin some Kentucky Fried Chicken tonight, but I understand you make some good chicken, and we might want to go over to your place sometime for that if you can control the smoke and all,
Thank you. Appreciate it. Smoked flavor.
Smoke.
Hickory.
I think we need to send them a bill for that. Thanks for saving this place, though, Chief. Yeah. It won't be the last time. Yeah. All right.
I'll fill you in later.
Okay. Got to be a story.
I wasn't there.
All right. Discussion and general information otherwise. Hearing none. Item 20, this would be to go to closed session for a property acquisition discussion. We did so approximately a month or so ago for the benefit of the public. We go closed session for property acquisition discussion, but not for decision making. So if there's a decision made while in closed session about a purchase, we must come back on the record here and in the public cast a vote related to it. So that could happen tonight. If that does happen, then we'll come back in here and we'll reopen the meeting, and you would be able to hear the discussion and vote. All right? So is there a motion among the board then to go to closed session to discuss property acquisition?
Move. All right.
Okay. Roll call vote.
Kuiper is yes. Waringa?
Yes.
Rossman?
Yes.
Belding?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
All in favor?
All right. We are therefore now in closed session. We will go to the small conference room, and when we're done, we'll come back out here.
Take your microphones off.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right, is there a motion to come out of closed session?
So moved.
Support?
It was supported. Again, roll call vote to come out of closed session.
Kelly?
Yes.
Ringo?
Yes.
Grassman?
Yes.
Belding?
Yes.
Piper's a yes. All in favor?
All right, we're back on the record, and there is no property acquisition that will take place this evening, and so at this point, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the meeting is closed. I mean to give you a wrestling update.